Hi. It is Tuesday, December 10th. No, Wednesday, December 10th. Sorry. My days are all mixed up. Um, Today was a hard day. I'm in a hotel room here in Toronto, in Markham. And today was the first day of my new job. And it was a bit of a rough start, I'm not going to lie. I am going to be doing this new job here in the city. I drove to Toronto last night, and I've never driven in the city of Toronto before. Anytime we had to come to Toronto, Mark did the driving. He had lived here many years ago, many years ago, long before we ever met. I think he was in his very early 20s. And he was just the driver in our family anyway. So driving here was, it was a snowy, yucky, icky drive to begin with. And like I said, he was the driver, and I did not enjoy it. At any rate, I did it, and I got here to this hotel, which is about 10 minutes from my new workplace. I kept my car parked this morning and Ubered to work. I was actually very well prepared. I had everything ready last night. I had my lunch packed. I knew what outfit I was wearing. I had my Uber pre-ordered to pick me up to get there well in time. And I was there half an hour early. Unfortunately, the person who hired me neglected to tell me what was the proper entrance to come in through. So I got let off at the main entrance, which is unfortunately under construction and has been for quite some time. And I guess for a person who works there every day, that's probably something they just don't think about really anymore. It's not really a thing. Everybody knows where they're supposed to go. Well, I didn't know where I was supposed to go. My Uber dropped me off at the wrong door, and by the time I realized it was the wrong door, that guy was long gone. So I tried to figure out how to get to the right entrance, and it wasn't just a straightforward go around the building kind of thing. No. So that was a rough start to my morning. Someone did end up about a half an hour later coming and rescuing me at the main entrance. And that's how I started my day. And I was very flustered. And I was also very emotional knowing that this week is the 1 year anniversary of Mark's passing. That's on Friday. So that was on my mind, and that and the fact that whenever I'd be in a situation like that, he would be the first person I would call to say, oh my God, this is happening. I'm really frustrated and flustered, and I would have called him and he would have calmed me down. So I got in there and as soon as she opened the door, I started crying, and she said, are you okay? And I said, no, I'm just really overwhelmed. So I got myself together. She took me to the washroom. I freshened up, and the day went fine. Except that it was a snow day, and I think I might have seen a half a dozen people total on my floor all day long. Everyone stayed home because it was a snow day, but hey, I was there and I was on time. My first day, even though it was a snow day. So win-win. So the fella who was supposed to be training me was one of the ones who couldn't get into work. So I got a bit of a tour around from a couple of fellows. I got my key fob that I can get into where I need to get. I got my parking pass. Got some office supplies, got a temporary desk to sit at, and a little bit of training to do some data entry just to pass the time. I got there about 8:30. By the time I got in and started, it was about 9. And I'm supposed to work 8 hours, right? 9 to 5. And I'm working away on my data entry, and I finish it, and I kind of go to the fella who had been giving me the work, and he wasn't in his office. And then I started looking around, and I realized this was probably shortly before 4 p.m., 3:45. I realized nobody else was there. And I started walking. I did a loop around the whole entire floor. Nobody was there. I was the only one there. So I went back to my little cubicle, my temporary cubicle, and took out a book that I'm reading and read for a while. And I had scheduled my Uber home for 5:10. And finally put my coat on, went downstairs, and I had to redirect my Uber to pick me up in the proper spot at the back of the building, which is the same address as the front of the building, but I didn't want the guy to go back to the front of the building and realize I wasn't there, so I had to give some directions. And he didn't seem impressed when I got in the car, but oh well. Yes. By the time I got back to the hotel, I was just missing Mark and feeling super emotional and untethered, very flustered about the whole day. The minute I walked in my hotel room and closed the door behind me, I just broke down. I just broke down, and I realized I'm alone. I don't have that person who's checking on me, all day long. Every so often, I have people who check on me, once every few days, once a week. I did have some people check in on me to see how my first day went, and that was good, but I also didn't want to dump on them. So it's been a tough day. I ordered myself some dinner, and I'm just watching some TV. I'm gonna go to bed shortly, and tomorrow will be a new day. I'll be okay. Sometimes you just need to let out those emotions, and it's cleansing, and that's what I need to do tonight. So thanks for listening. I'll talk to you soon.